So what happens when the most successful CEO in Apple's history, the person who architected its multi-trillion-dollar empire, just decides to walk away? Today, we're going to dive into a story about the end of one massive era and the critical pivot that could totally define the next decade of technology.
But here's the twist. The story we're about to break down, it hasn't actually happened yet. This whole analysis is based on a speculative article, one that's dated April 21st, 2026. It's using the trends we see today to forecast this massive turning point for Apple.
And it all boils down to this one huge question, right? After 15 years of just unprecedented success, why on earth would Tim Cook step down? I mean, on the surface, it seems almost unthinkable. But the answer reveals a fundamental shift that's happening across the entire tech industry. To really get why he would leave, first we have to understand the empire he built. You see, Tim Cook's time at the top wasn't just about continuing what Apple was doing. In a lot of ways, it was a complete transformation of the company. I mean, think about it. When he took over from an icon like Steve Jobs back in 2011, a lot of people were skeptical. Could Apple really keep its magic? Well, Cook didn't just maintain it. He scaled it to heights that were just unimaginable, leading to a multi-trillion-dollar valuation. Incredible. And his genius is crystal clear when you break it down. He's the one who turned the iPhone into this global machine, he perfected a world-class supply chain, and he brilliantly built the services division into its own profit-making engine. The guy was, without a doubt, an operational mastermind. But here's the crucial point. Cook's era was all about making things better, more efficient, and more profitable. It was about perfecting the existing formula, not necessarily inventing a brand new one. The focus really shifted away from those radical, risky experiments and towards steady, predictable growth. And that very stability, the thing that made him so successful, would eventually lead to a massive challenge. It became a turning point, driven by the single most powerful force in tech today, artificial intelligence. And this is where you can really see the split happening. While competitors like Google and OpenAI were diving headfirst into rapid AI development, building systems that felt almost human, Apple took a much more cautious, step-by-step approach. Now, this was rooted in core Apple values like user privacy, but the result was the same. Siri, which was once so revolutionary, started to feel, well, kind of dated next to the new generative AI models. And the consequence of this different strategy was pretty stark. For the first time in a long time, Apple, the company that always seemed to define the future, started to look like it was falling behind. It just wasn't leading the conversation anymore on what comes next. This created this powerful dilemma right at the heart of the company. Apple was more profitable than it had ever been, but it seemed to be losing something. You know, something intangible, something essential to its very identity.
Our source article just nails this idea with a single, powerful line in Hindi, Tim Cook ne munafa diya lekin dhar nahi. And what that translates to is, Tim Cook gave profit, but not the edge.
So let's break down that word, feather har, or the edge. It's more than just innovation. It's that sharp, risky, category-defining quality. You know, it's the difference between making a better smartphone and inventing the smartphone. Apple used to have feather har in spades, but its focus on just optimizing everything had kind of blunted it. So here it is, the core of the argument. The very strength that made Tim Cook the perfect CEO for the post-Jobs era, his focus on stability and flawless execution, had now become a liability in the fast-moving experimental age of AI. The world changed, and Apple needed to change with it. And that brings us to his resignation, and, maybe more importantly, to his replacement. Because the choice of the next CEO is a huge signal about where Apple is headed next. According to our 2026 source, the successor is John Ternus. Now, he might not be a household name, but inside Apple, this choice sends a powerful message. See, Ternus isn't a supply chain expert or finance guy. He is a product person, through and through. As the head of hardware engineering, he was deeply involved in creating Apple's most important devices. He comes from the very heart of Apple's creative engine. And this is exactly why his appointment is so significant. It signals a deliberate, strategic pivot. The message is crystal clear. Apple is shifting its focus away from just optimization and back to its core identity, creating groundbreaking products. It's about finding its Sharhar again. So, this sets the stage for Apple's next great test. With new leadership comes a whole new set of fundamental questions that are going to define the company for the next decade.
First up, the big one, Siri. Can it be reborn? It can't just be a voice that sets timers anymore. It needs to become a real assistant that can truly understand you, reason, and make intelligent decisions.
Then you've got the iPhone itself. For over 15 years, it's been a portal to apps. But in an AI-first world, can it evolve into a proactive companion that actually anticipates our needs?
And finally, the ultimate question. Can this new, product-focused Apple launch another truly revolutionary device? Something that, like the iPod or the iPhone, just captures the world's imagination and once again defines the future of technology. To answer any of these questions, one thing becomes obvious. The era of playing it safe is over. Apple has to embrace a new culture of risk, of experimentation, and even potential failure if it hopes to lead in the age of AI. Which leaves us all with this final thought. Is the departure of Tim Cook the end of Apple's golden age? Or is it the necessary catalyst for the beginning of its next one? The foundation is there, for sure, but the future, well, that's still to be written.